Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome. This is game 2 actually from Tomomo and Saladin. And I know I said that I wasn't going to cast the rest of this series unless the games were good. And well, guess what? I went ahead and thought a little bit about it and I realized, hey, the rest of the series is pretty good. So I want to bring you guys the rest of these games. And like I said, I did broadcast these for IPL already a couple of weeks ago. The replays aren't exactly fresh in my head. I do have a little bit of a remembering, so to say, of what happens in the replays. And I kind of recall that these games were actually really, really good. So I want to go ahead and bring the rest of these games out to you guys. And this is going to be game 2 between Saladin and Tomomo. So here we have Saladin in the bottom corner of Atlantis Spaceship. New map. And this one's actually one of the bigger maps in the IPL Mapmaker tournament. This one's actually one of my favorites too as well, because I feel like this map has so many attack paths and the expansions are far enough apart, but not so far that it becomes impossible to expand, but far enough so that there's a lot of action all throughout the map. I definitely feel like this map is one of my favorites. And of course, towards the middle of the map, we have one of the most interesting features. You guys can see that it's not a gold expansion, rather it's a triple gas expand. And the cool thing about having a triple gas expand is the one in the back is actually a rich Vespine geyser tucked away in the smoke. So essentially, if you expand here, you can have access to quadruple gas. And so if that happens or not remains to be seen, but this map certainly has a lot of interesting features that make it one of the cooler maps. And down in the top, or excuse me, up in the top, we do have LoveTomomo, who was the winner of the last series. He will have his hatchery canceled, or at least delayed for a little bit here by the scouting probe. But he was the winner of the last game in this series. He actually opened up last game with a 6 pool into Speedling Pressure, and just playing a very aggressive game all throughout. Finally able to get that W, but I really like the way he played that Zerg versus Protoss, kind of keeping the Protoss on the back foot the entire game. And we'll see what happens here. It looks like the probe's still delaying that hatchery from going up. He finally gets it down. Actually had to change up his build a little bit, getting a very fast gas here, it seems like. So we may have a faster Speedling opening than what you might be used to, simply because that probe was there to delay and block that hatchery from going down. So Saladin may want to think about shoring up his defenses pretty quickly here. He did open up Nexus before Forge. So the cannons he can actually get down right now are going to be a little bit more delayed because he got the Nexus out first. But the nice thing about this map on Atlantis Spaceship is you can wall this off entirely with a Forge, a Gateway, and a Cybernetics Core, or Forge, Gateway, Gateway, depending on what you want to do. And it looks like he's going to opt to go Forge, Gateway, Gateway, and gets the cannon in the back. So it should be Zergling proof right here. We'll have to see. Tomomo making his way across the map with 5 Zerglings. One, of course, being sicked on the probe because you can't have an odd number of Zerglings until one of them dies. But Tomomo, oh, there is an opening. No, there is not an opening. Okay, so the Forge, the way the Forge is architecturally designed at the very last second, blocks off the Zerglings with the little archway right here. And looks like Tomomo is not going to be able to break through. So Saladin holds steadfast at the front, but we saw him do that in the last game, or at least we thought he was holding steadfast against the 7 pool, and then Tomomo just kind of bucked forces and was able to get through there. Now the Gateway being cancelled as a Cybernetics Core going to take its place because Saladin doesn't want to fall behind in tech. And oh no, Tomomo going to go for a Roach Warren here, so he's actually going to... It looks like he's just going to go ahead and go with another all-in here. Now this is the second variant of the Zerg all-in. The first variant of the Zerg all-in is just a 7 pool. Following that, the only other option that Zerg really has in terms of really trying to end the game right away is just a Roach Zergling all-in. And it looks like he's just going to do just that. But Saladin is making his way across the map with a scouting probe. Now, if the probe can make its way into the natural and see the roaches, then Saladin is going to be in a great spot. And the speed hasn't quite kicked in yet, so the probe could make its way across. But, oh, Saladin goes for the third hatchery rather than going for the natural. And because of that, the Zergling speed kicks in and the probe will go down. So Saladin having an opportunity there to see the roaches, but he does not. And the roaches go up in the dark. And now Saladin has no idea that this is coming. Really, the only inkling, the only way he can deduce that something is about to hit his front door is the fact that he did not see a third hatchery. And I don't know if you can deduce at this point in the game, simply because the Zerg does not have a third hatchery at 6 minutes and 30 seconds, that he's going to all-in you. So Saladin is in actually a pretty tough spot right now. Thankfully, he did warp in a second photon cannons, but I don't know if this is going to be enough. He's making another sentry right now. This is going to be a very tough spot for him to hold. And of course, 6 roaches about to break through his front wall. backed up by Speedlings as well. We'll just have to see. A third Photon Cannon going up in an emergency spot right now. Will Saladin be able to hold? It looks like the first cannon will go down, but the Forge is not being focused quite yet. Right now, Tomomo needs to break down the Forge so his Speedlings can flood in. 2 more cannons being warped in the background. Another pylon as well to help secure the front wall. A Guardian, a Force Field, excuse me, going in place of the Forge. Nice play from Saladin. Good crisis management. And I don't know, will he be able to hold off? The last cannon goes down, but 3 cannons are warping in right now. It looks like Tomomo is not going to be able to break through the front wall. Good hold by Saladin, it looks like, and he warps in another gateway at the very last second. Unbelievable hold by Saladin, and it looks like Tomomo will have to tuck his tail and run away, but that was a very close one, and Tomomo unable to get the all-in to work this time around. And actually in the first game he didn't get the all-in to work either, but he was able to follow up with aggression. I don't think he's going to be able to do that again this game. And it would not surprise me to see him just go ahead and go into macro mode now, because once a Protoss player really secures that front door with this many cannons and this many forces, and you've already kind of won the first game with all those all-ins, it's not very likely to happen again for a second time. And so Saladin here, properly set up, it looks like he's got a Stalker at the front as well to help deal with the roaches. And so Tomomo is going to go ahead and grab a third hatchery now. He just can't really continue that kind of aggressive play. But he is woefully behind in tech right now. We can see +1 weapons and Blink. That's going to be the real crucial factor here. Blink is on the way, and Tomomo doesn't even have Lair yet. Typically, you know, when a Protoss player gets up to Blink, when they get up to that Type 2 tech, Tier 2 tech, so to say, Zergs are going to have their Lair done already. You got to kind of stay on par with the Protoss, and Tomomo is just now in that kind of building up phase to get to Tier 2 tech. He's just now trying to get the double expansion down, trying to get all of his economy rolling, and that doesn't bode well for Tomomo. He is, you know, trying to do what he can right now by keeping the Protoss at bay, you know, keeping a couple Zerglings at the front. I like that strategy because he's got to buy time to get his economy and especially get his tech up to snuff. But I don't know, Saladin may actually just have a timing window here to push out as soon as 2 weapons finish and Blink finishes, and I don't know what Tomomo's going to do about that. And in fact, a Robotics Bay coming down as well, and he's making a Warp Prism. That's actually kind of interesting. Now, Saladin, if you guys recall from a prior game that I casted between MVP Tails, he's really creative with this Warp Prism Sentry use. What he did in that PvP game against MVP Tails is actually lifted off all of his sentries and elevated them inside the Warp Prism, and then blunked all of his Stalkers into the Zerg main. And by doing so, he can actually force field the ramp with his sentries while his Stalkers just ravage the entire main. Now, I don't think Saladin is going to do just that, because usually if you're going to go for a build like that, you kind of dedicate yourself to that and it hits around 8 or 9 minutes. It's considerably later right now, so I think he's just going to use the Warp Prism for reinforcement purposes, which is kind of nice. He doesn't have to pull a probe off the mineral line, and he doesn't have to worry about the pylon being taken out, because Warp Prisms are so much more flexible. So this is an interesting push here from Saladin, and don't forget, guys, he's going to time this with what looks to be +2 weapons. And unfortunately for Saladin, he's just now getting Lair. Like I said before, Saladin's tech just not up to snuff, and really right now he needs Hydralisks to deal with the Stalker Sentry Ball. And because he committed himself to that Roach Zergling all-in, he just finds himself so far behind right now. I don't know if he can hold this attack off or not. And it looks like he realizes the same thing. He may just go for a flank maneuver here. But the Zerglings are actually running back. I don't think he allowed the Zerglings to get enough distance to get that flank in, and now he's just going to come in with everything from the front. Not the best engagement here. And of course, those force fields will go down, just limiting the Zerglings from attacking that fragile Stalker Ball and the Sentry Ball, and of course a Warp Prism up in the air as well. That's going to provide a ton of reinforcements in a timely manner, and there they come. In fact, one getting canceled, not sure why. I think the Zergling got a cancel before the Zealot or Stalker made its way in, but it doesn't matter. +2 weapons is going to rule the day here, and Saladin with a beautiful counterattack. Essentially just a push against Tomomo, who is woefully behind in tech and economy. So there's the GG. And you know what, guys, I'm going to keep this post-game analysis to a short, because I want to go ahead and go into the next game, which is going to be the final game between Tomomo and Saladin. So hopefully you guys stay tuned, and this will be HD signing out.